With just a few weeks away from autumn in Hokkaido, I stole away from my busy life in Sapporo and went to the lake. The plan was to shoot some rock islands the next day at sunrise. But before I even set up my tent, I was reaching for my camera and setting up for a shot. Alright, so I'm going to line up a pano shot. 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. Oh, the lights come back on that little ridge line, so maybe 5 panos. And I'm just waiting for the light to come out a little bit more. We're a few minutes from sunset. Let's see, what time is it now? Okay. It's 5:15 and sunset's at 5:30. So I'm hoping that as the sun drops a little bit further down, closer to the horizon, that I'm going to get a little bit more horizontal light. And if I get that more horizontal light, I'm going to get the peak over here lit up. You can see the peak at the moment. Can you see that? Yeah. You can see the peak at the moment is covered by shadow. So I'm hoping that whatever cloud cover is in the way in this direction is going to move on a little bit. It looks like it's happening already. It has some really nice, beautiful, soft light. And so I'm going to go for a 4 to 5 panel shot. I'm going to start with this tree to my immediate left here. And in the background there's a small summit. In the front here, this is Fupushi. It's a volcano here. And just to the right of that is Tarumaizan, which is another volcano. And to the right here, this is just part of the same mountain range. All right, we're getting closer. Just waiting on the light now. Okay, I have a graduated neutral density filter and a polarizing filter as well. So I'm going at 1/4 of a second, f14 ISO 100. First shot of the panel right here has a nice framing of that peak, small peak in the background. Panel shot number 1. Let's try that again. I actually bumped the camera. Let's try that again. Here we go. All right, I'm going to overlap by about 1/3. All right, the color is starting to really come out now. It's quite beautiful. And here we go, one more. All right, to get this shot, I have to take off my shoes and step into this freezing cold water. But I think it'll be worth it to get this shot. We are in Lake Shikotsu, Toya National Park. This is Lake Shikotsu. It is blue hour. The sun is rising. It is beautiful. And I am here shooting one of these beautiful rock islands that I've shot before. About a year ago, I paddled across the water, a little over a year ago, with my son. And I am back today. It was an absolutely beautiful night. And I was experimenting with some star photography some astrophotography last night. It was my first time. I've never seen so many stars in my life. It was beautiful. Venus was reflecting beautifully on the surface of the water. I'm not sure if the images turned out properly, but if they did, I'll show them to you now while I set up this shot.
Now, I really like this shot. The composition, the use of negative space, contrast, and the pillar of light reflecting on the water. From Venus, a planet, not the moon. And I think that's just awesome. Unfortunately, I got my shutter speed wrong, and you can see the star trails. Does that disqualify this as a good astro image? Well, you tell me. I now know what I did wrong though. And let me explain, so maybe it'll help you avoid making a similar mistake. I followed the 500 rule, which seems pretty easy and straightforward, and it is, yet I still messed it up. Basically, if you divide 500 by your focal length, you will get a maximum shutter speed before you get noticeable star trails in your image. I was shooting with my Sigma 16mm f1.4 contemporary lens. Plugging that into the equation, it gave me a 31.25 second shutter speed, which I can get by shooting in bulb mode. I stopped the exposure at 28 seconds, which should have given me a perfect exposure, if not slightly underexposed. What I've since learned is that when shooting with an APS-C lens, which I did, you've got to find out the full frame equivalency for the lens. So that should have been a 25.6mm full frame equivalency for my 16mm lens, giving me a maximum exposure of 19.5 seconds before the star trails appear. Now I know, and I won't make that mistake again.
I think I've got probably about 20 minutes before the sun hits the horizon. And when that happens, I'm expecting the light to just flood across the lake here and hit my subject onto the mountain in the background and this beautiful rock island here in the foreground. Now I have a composition set up. Let me bring you on in, okay? So here's my composition. This rock island, I left a little touch of water just above the island to be able to separate it from the background. I also have an inlet of trees over to the left that I didn't want to touch this little tree on the rock island. And then I have the tree perfectly framed within the mountain itself. It's a stunning little scene, and it's just waiting for the light. All right, so I have 3 filters on right now. I have a circular polarizer, a graduated filter to bring down the highlights in the sky, and also a 6-stop filter to give me a longer exposure because I do want to keep the water as smooth as possible. I may have to change the filter to a 10-stop filter if the light gets really bright, which I think it will. So I'm actually wearing fishing gloves, and I think for this type of weather where it's quite brisk but it's not cold enough to actually wear thicker gloves, because they're fishing gloves, I'm able to keep my fingers free to manipulate the camera, which is really nice. So they're nice and tight, they don't shift around on my hands, and they're perfect for this kind of weather. I was right, I do need to switch out to a 10-stop. The light is getting much brighter, and let's take that first one off. How convenient is that? Just pop it right off. And there we go. That purple and magenta that was over here is gone now, and it's been replaced with a pink and orange hue. Taking a shot. I am freezing. I think the best image that I am going to get this morning I've already taken, so I think I might wait and just see what it does look like when it finally does rise, but I think I'm going to leave this composition and put my socks back on because I am cold.
As I walk back to my camp, I embrace the calm and the quiet. I decided not to film myself walking back, as I wanted to thoroughly enjoy being in the moment, surrounded by wildlife around me. I snapped a couple of images that I really like, and so I'll share them with you now.
That walk through the forest was fantastic. Forgive me for not talking you through the images, but sometimes I feel like it's needed to just enjoy the scene. And if I had set up my camera, it would have taken me a lot longer to get through, and I wouldn't have seen nearly as much. So forgive me, please, but enjoy the images, enjoy them. I think I got a couple of nice ones. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time.